Hello, Internet friends. Well, it looks like math is racist. All right, I know that sounds stupid and funny, but here's the bottom line. This has nothing to do with white people or brown people, smart people or stupid people. It has to do with the elites recreating Sodom and Gomorrah. That's it. And so what they're doing right now is they are stripping our young people of the ability to make judgment calls or think for themselves. They think that, or they're trying to force the young people into thinking that there's no moral values, no standards. So everybody, I want you to work on integrity and character development. It will make you bulletproof. All right, so here is some audio about somebody talking about the school system in Seattle saying that math is racist. I hope you enjoy.
Did you know that math is actually racist? That's right. Math is now racist. Why? Numbers are now racist. There's some people, what do you know, out on the West Coast who have written a new curriculum for the kids. I believe it's 6th to 8th grade, telling them that math is actually racist. How? Why? Well, it was basically, not entirely, but basically a group of white people who concocted the idea of math, put together these different theorems, and all they've done is impose their mathematical views on the rest of society. From the Daily Wire, Seattle Public Schools, course for K through 12 students titled Math, Ethnic Studies. Math, Ethnic Studies. Essential questions students are asked. Here are just a few. What is my mathematical identity? I got to learn it, otherwise I don't pass. That's pretty much my identity. Is there an authority for math knowledge? What? In other words, what they're starting to hint at is that math only has authority based on the people who have written the current math rules. Should they really be the ones who have determined what is mathematically correct or not? What? Question from the curriculum. How important is it to be right? What is right? Get ready for this. Quote, says who? There it is again. Our culture is moving so fast and so far away from God, it is actually questioning the authority of math. Now, on the one hand, we recognize that's preposterous. Might I suggest, however, on the other hand, I'm okay with it. Let's answer that question. Because I would tell you it is not white man who is the authority in math. I wouldn't tell you it is a black or yellow or red or polka dotted person who is the authority in math. God is the one who gives numbers value. God is the one who makes sure that different mathematical formulas work the same way every single time. How can we make such a bodacious claim if there is not a standard? An unmoved mover, one who is constant, who has no shifting shadows, who never changes, then this world would be a perpetual flux, and there would be no mathematical equations if God did not exist. Unfortunately, we know that's not what they're after. Nevertheless, I'll answer the question. Says who? The answer when it comes to math? God. When it comes to empirical science, not historical science, but empirical science, who says? Answer, God. Our culture is so profoundly confused, it is actually starting to question who is the authority in math. It literally says, how important is it to be right? Well, maybe we could have that debate. I'll tell you what. Why don't you get into your car that was put together by somebody who didn't think that our current math symbols actually represented something constant, and you drive over that bridge that was designed by somebody who's changed all of the ideas because they didn't like the idea of apparently white men coming up with these mathematical formulas and numbers and symbols. And you just, once you get there, we'll answer then the question, says who? They're trying to undermine the authority of math? No. This is an undermining of the authority of God. That is what is going on with the Seattle Public Schools. That God does not exist, therefore it is an arbitrary system that a particular skin-colored people created called math. And now we can change it all because we know that white people have been repressive with mathematics. That's what this goes on to say. If you don't believe me, here's from the article, which is just jaw-dropping. Students will be able to analyze the ways in which ancient mathematical knowledge has been appropriated by Western culture, and to identify and explain how math and other sciences have been, quote, used to oppress and marginalize people and communities of color. I know that math is oppressive because I had to study it, but that's not what they mean. They mean it is a way for a particular skin color to oppress another skin color. See, we've got these mathematical formulas, they're ours, and if you don't know them, well, you're not going to succeed in culture, or something like that. Further, students will be able to critique systems of power that deny access to mathematical knowledge to people and communities of color. Identify the inherent inequities of the standardized testing system used to oppress and marginalize people and communities of color. Explain how math has been used to exploit natural resources, and explain how math dictates economic oppression. Are you following along with the logic? No, you're not, because it's entirely illogical. What is underneath all of this? They ask the question that the devil has been asking from the beginning. Says who? Really? Did God really say that? What did the devil do with Jesus Christ in the wilderness? Didn't God say? How's about you do this? I'll give you that. It's all about undermining the authority of God to lead us away from trusting in him and trusting the Lord and trusting the devil. That is what is at play here. It is what is at play in Great Britain as the tribunal that determined the Christian doctor who worked at the National Health Services for 30 years, who refused to use transgender patients' preferred pronouns. He was believing in a system, Genesis 1:27 in particular, that's incompatible with human dignity, quote. What's going on? Who's the authority when it comes to gender issues? Man is saying, not God, us. We are. When it comes to math, whoa. These white people, they're not the ones who are going to dictate what math is. We're all going to create mathematical formulas and determine what is right for ourselves. That's what they're after. Quote, who gets to say if an answer is right? Can you recognize and name oppressive mathematical practices in your experience? We all get to determine what is correct in math. What's really going on? Says who? Are there constants in the universe? Are there laws that operate and run the place, that give us consistent outcomes in laboratories with mathematical formulas? Man's answer is no. And so the same question is at stake here. Says who? This is an authority issue. And while we look at this and go, well, that's kind of bonkers, we ain't seen nothing yet. Just for yucks, let me take you now to the book of Judges. Every man did that which is right in his own eyes. In other words, not says God, says our culture. No, says every individual will determine it. A Levite marries a concubine. She was unfaithful to him, ran away to Bethlehem. He went after her to bring her home and stopped in Gibeah, tribe of Benjamin. Nobody would take him in until an old man invited them to come in. While they were celebrating, this is 1922, Judges 19:22. While they were celebrating, behold, the men of the city, certain worthless fellows, surrounded the house, pounding the door, and they spoke to the owner of the house, saying, bring out the man who came into your house, that we may have relations with him. Then the man of the owner of the house went out to them and said, no, my fellows, don't act so wickedly, since this man has come to my house. Don't do that. It would be very humiliating for me. Cultural no. So here's my virgin daughter and his concubine. Take them. Ravish them. Do whatever you wish, but do not commit such an act of folly against this man. Woo. So the nice man who took in the priest who was acting very poorly by having a concubine anyway, even their thinking is broken down, isn't it? Totally busted. But the men would not listen to them, so the man seized his concubine, brought her out to them, and they raped her and abused her all night long until morning, and let her go at the approach of dawn. The appetite of godless people never satisfied. The woman fell down, mourning, Master arose. Concubine was lying in the doorway. Get up and go. She couldn't. Dead. The thinking of the ungodly is profoundly confused. When he entered his house, he took a knife and laid hold of his concubine and cut her in 12 pieces, limb by limb, and sent her throughout the territory of Israel. See what happened here? See, come on, Israel, rise up. 400,000 men go to the tribe of Benjamin, insisting they deliver the men of Gibeah who committed this crime. They wouldn't. So Israel kills tens of thousands of Benjaminites, burns down their cities, killing all the women and cattle. Only 600 men escaped. Vigilantism is a fruit of secular humanism. When it says who isn't God, look out, we'll hurt you if you don't give us what we want. Chapter 21, after slaughtering the tribe of Benjamin, the 11 tribes have remorse. And so we see another scene of foolishness to save the tribe of Benjamin, getting them wives that didn't belong to them. They took 400 virgins so that the tribe of Benjamin could endure. All of this was done because says who? Says we. And so we see war. We see a woman being abused and killed. We see a woman being chopped up into 12 bits and sent out to the nation of Israel because they were not obeying God. What's our response? How do we react to a culture that's saying, not God anymore, we say who? The answer is emphatic and it's simple. We repeat the refrain from the Old Testament that was used 700 times. Thus saith the Lord. That is our response.